Hi, and welcome to the first one of my chats in my new video blog series about how to not get feedback from Elise. My name's Elise Dewsberry. I'm the artistic director at New Musicals Inc. I give feedback to writers of new musicals for a living, and in this series, I'm going to try to help you put me out of a job. Now, there's a lot of different ways that I could have started different topics. I've jotted down a bunch that I can cover in the next few months, how to pick which one to start with. For me, there's no other choice. It has to be theme. What is your musical about? What are you trying to say? Another, perhaps more interesting way to look at it is, what do you want your audience to walk away with? And this comes down to there's a difference in my mind between story and plot. The plot of your musical is what happens, the actual events that happen over the course of your musical, but the story is what it's about. And so that's what I'm talking about when I talk about theme. Now, I don't want you to feel like every musical that gets written has to have some deep moral or some political convictions or is trying to change the world. Some of them will, and that's fantastic. If that's what you're setting out to do, great. If your answer to me is just, well, I just want to write something that's funny and entertain people, that's okay too. But that does not mean you get off the hook in terms of figuring out what you're trying to say with your story. It can be light, it can be easy, but there's still something that you want to say. Now, if you're going the more dramatic route, you can think about something like Sweeney Todd, where Sweeney wants revenge, and we identify with him because we know how badly he's been treated, and we want him to get revenge too. But at the end of the day, the revenge it turns out to be a bad thing because it destroys him and the thing that he loved the most. And so you could say that the theme there is about vengeance and the negative sides of vengeance. So that's a musical with a big story. But you can do the same thing if you're writing a comedy. If you just want to write a comedy that entertains, you could do sketch comedy. There's a lot of different ways you could go. But if you want your musical to really resonate, if you want it to endure, if you want it to be produced multiple times, and if you want your audience to go away saying more than just, huh, that was fun, if you want a little bit more than that, then you need to look to your theme. Again, it doesn't have to be, politically charged or changing the world, but think about a musical like Legally Blonde, where the lead character of Elle, yes, we're watching a lot of silliness and nonsense, and we're having a grand old time. It's a funny, very well written musical that entertains us. But at the end of the day, why are we so happy? It's because Elle finally figures out that she has worth herself and proves it to herself by winning the court case and realizing she doesn't need to follow along, the coattails of this lousy boyfriend of hers, and she figures out that she is a worthy person herself. That's a great theme. Does not detract at all from the fun that we have when we're watching that musical, but the theme makes a difference. Now, it's okay to start somewhere else. You might say, well, I don't know that I have a big thing I want to say, and I can't approach a musical that way thinking about what do I want to say. It's perfectly all right to start somewhere else. Maybe you start with a great character that you think would make be a great thing to tell a musical about, a biography, perhaps. Maybe you come up with a really fun premise that you think would be brilliant. There's nothing wrong with starting there, but very quickly before you start putting that plot together and figuring out how you're going to tell it, start to think about, if that's your premise, if that's your character, if that's the life story that you're telling, what theme could you attach to that? And if you think about it, something will come up. For instance, the Tony Award-winning co-creators of Avenue Q, Bobby Lopez, Jeff Marks, and Jeff Whitty. It was actually Jeff Marks and Bobby Lopez initially who wanted to just write an adult version of Sesame Street with puppets that were doing adult things. It was a concept, and it was a fun concept, and it could have been that, it could have stayed that. What transported it into what became a very popular Broadway show that won a Tony was when the book writer Jeff Whitty was added, and they all as a team decided there has to be a bit more, and it started to focus on that sense of purpose. What is your purpose when you grow up? Didn't take away any of the fun. It's still one of the funniest shows that's ever been written, but it's more than just a premise of grown-up puppets. It now has a theme that goes along with it. Now, the reason I talk so much about theme is because once you've identified your theme, it's not something that your audience necessarily needs to be able to articulate by the end of your musical. They may not be able to say, "Yeah, it was about thus and such," and state something, but you will use it as a tool that from which everything will follow. Who your lead character is, the decisions they make along the way, where your act break is. As I go through my videos that are coming up, every single decision that you face in every conversation you have with your colleagues, you need to bring it back to the theme and say, if we're trying to figure out what to do here, what song do we do here? Who sings it? What should it be about? What choice should our lead character make here? Every single decision, come back to the theme and say, what is the story we're trying to tell? What is our theme and how is that going to impact this? And it's going to come into every decision you make. So that's why the sooner you start thinking about it and figuring out what it is, the better tool that's going to be for you as you progress. In my next blog, I'm going to talk about what happens then once you've got your theme and you start to try to figure out how does that impact on your character and your storyline. And I'll be talking about your lead character and his wants and goals. So check in with me next month for more of putting Elise out of work. Thanks. Bye-bye.